And cutting across to breaking news coming in, a 2003 video that has completely exposed the Congress. Now, this is the video that shows you how the Congress had in fact supported citizenship. They had backed citizenship. This amidst how we've been seeing senior Congress leaders who are openly calling out the government and the centre over CAA. It was this very Congress that had in fact backed citizenship in 2003. Let's listen into what former Prime Minister Manmohan Singh had said at that time.
While I am on this subject, Madam, I would like to point out that with regard to the treatment of refugees, after the partition of our countries, the minorities in countries like Bangladesh have faced persecution, and it is our moral obligation that if circumstances force people, these unfortunate people, to seek refuge in our country, our approach to granting citizenship to these unfortunate persons should be most liberal. I sincerely hope that the Honourable Deputy Prime Minister will bear this in mind in charting out the future course of action with regard to the Citizenship Act.
Thank you.
Amit Malviya from the BJP now joining us on the phone line. And Amit Malviya, what will the Congress say now? This is the very statement that was made by former Prime Minister Manmohan Singh, who was the leader of opposition back then. And he has clearly said that citizenship must be given to minorities who are facing persecution in neighbouring countries such as Bangladesh and Pakistan. Then why is it a no for the Congress in 2019? Is it only because they have to oppose the BJP on everything that they see?
I want to reiterate this again on your program, that this bill has nothing which discriminates against any Indian citizen. That's point number one. The other very important point is that this demand to provide shelter to religiously persecuted minorities from our neighboring countries is a long-standing one. In 2003, Dr. Manmohan Singh, when he was the leader of opposition, spoke for it. In 2012, Prakash Karat, the General Secretary of the Communist Party of India, wrote a letter to the Prime Minister, then Dr. Manmohan Singh, asking him to make provision to provide citizenship to these religiously persecuted minorities. Today what we see is that the Congress and the left is using its student union and its assorted affiliated groups to create trouble because they want to foment a law and order situation. They want to ensure that the country regresses back on identity issues. It is very disappointing. Questions must be asked of the Congress party and the left, that if they wanted the same legislation in 2003, then 2012, then why is it in 2019? It is something that they're opposing.
Absolutely, Amit Malviya. This is the day that the Congress leadership must come and answer these questions. For the moment, thank you for joining us. And I want to bring in my colleague Shavan, who's joining us from the newsroom. Shavan, what will the Congress say now? They are exposed completely. And why is it that they go on to spread lies against CAA? Why is it that they're putting out wrong facts about CAA and instigate the minorities, especially when this is the kind of line they were taking back in 2003? Then why is it that they are going on to make such statements? And Shavan, if you can stay on with me, BJP MP Subramaniam Swamy now with us on the phone line. Sir, we've put out this video from 2003 where former Prime Minister Manmohan Singh, who was then the leader of opposition, has said in the parliament that those facing religious persecution, citizenship must be granted to such minorities in neighboring countries from Bangladesh and Pakistan. Then why is it that the Congress is speaking a different language now?
Yeah, I raised it in when I was asked to speak by the BJP on behalf of the amendment. I quoted from that thing. There's no reply. There's no reply. This whole thing has changed ever since Ms. Sonia Gandhi took over the leadership of the party, and Manmohan Singh became Prime Minister and totally under her thumb. And so he stopped speaking on in those lines. But Earlier on, I'd known Manmohan Singh for at least 40, 50 years. He was a very staunch nationalist, but then he doesn't have a spine, so therefore he's now in a pathetic situation. But he did say that, and it was welcomed. And then not only he, the first working committee in November 25th, 1947, the Congress working committee said exactly the same thing. And throughout Mahatma Gandhi, Patel, and Rajendra Prasad, and subsequently all through the thing with the chief ministers like Gogoi in Assam. In fact, Gogoi wrote a letter to Narendra Modi after he became Prime Minister and said this must be done. And now suddenly I think they've got they're frightened by the international outrage at this thing, and international outrage is all synthetic. We should not bother about it, but they do bother about it.
But Dr. Swami, this is such hypocrisy, and if there is a change in stance, then they must explain it to the entire country. For the moment, thank you, sir, for joining us. And for our viewers, once again, playing out that very important statement that was made by former Prime Minister Manmohan Singh in 2003, where the Congress has backed citizenship.
While I am on this subject, madam, I would like to point out that with regard to the treatment of refugees, after the partition of our countries, the minorities in countries like Bangladesh have faced persecution, and it is our moral obligation that if circumstances force people, these unfortunate people to seek refuge in our country, our approach to granting citizenship to these unfortunate persons should be most liberal. I sincerely hope that the Honourable Deputy Prime Minister will bear this in mind in charting out the future course of action with regard to the Citizenship Act.
Thank you.
Mr. Advani, the minorities in Pakistan are also suffering. They have to be taken care of too.
Shravan Sen, my colleague, now joining us from the newsroom. And Shravan, this is a statement that the Congress must explain, because especially if the Congress has been in favor of according citizenship to minorities who faced religious persecution, then why is it that they go on to spread misinformation on CAA? Why is it that they have made this about religion and they're not sticking to facts? They're clearly fear-mongering, and the situation has become so sensitive in the country, but the Congress not taking responsibility, not coming out with answers.
Well, in fact, Suesha, it's the Congress party's hypocrisy which has been exposed yet again. You have former Prime Minister Manmohan Singh speaking about the Citizenship Amendment Bill, and not just him, but several other scores of Congress leaders, be it the former Chief Minister of Assam, Tarun Gogoi, or for that matter, even Rajasthan Chief Minister Ashok Gehlot. Both had basically written letters at that point in time to the Home Minister, basically stating that there are minorities who have been facing religious persecution, and it is imperative that the government basically takes care of them. In fact, on the floor of the parliament, you had heard what the former Prime Minister had to say, and this is exactly why questions have essentially been raised, whether at all the opposition parties are basically stoking fire, and that's what it appears at this point in time. You just heard the kind of statements that have been made during multiple rallies. Take, for instance, Digvijay Singh, for that matter, in Haryana, when he made that kind of a statement. That in itself is a clear reflection that how the opposition is fear-mongering, and there is a reason why one is saying that there is an element of fear-mongering that is involved.
Absolutely, Shravan. This not just puts the Congress on the back foot, but once again brings their credibility into question when they make such differing statements at different times and not even come out to explain it. For the moment, thank you, Shravan, for joining us. We will continue to get more voices on this story on the other side, but we step into a short break.